All right, welcome back to the walkthrough presented by Triple F. Now joined by Greeneville football coach Eddie Spradlen. And Eddie, thanks for joining us on the show. And before we get into the game, a big game coming up against Anderson County, obviously in the 4A quarterfinals. But I want to talk to you about earlier in the season. Tragedy kind of struck the East Tennessee community with floodwaters from the hurricanes, and I know a lot of people reached out and helped. But where do we stand right now with just life up there trying to return to normalcy?
First off, thanks for having me on here. And anytime I can talk about this program, I appreciate the opportunity. But like you said, total devastation around this area. In Greenville City, not as much as out in the county, but, we got a lot of families and kids associated with this program that live in that. Me personally, I still live I live out in the county. So the biggest issue that we're still currently dealing with is the bridges. There's
Mhm.
bridges that are out, so it's for me, it's a lot longer to get to school than normal. But there's a lot of work that's still going on by a lot of people, a lot of cleanup. You can't imagine. You just drive anywhere along the river, the number of trees that are still down, and number of people that are still working to try to get stuff back. And you'll drive that, the way I have to come to school now, you drive and there's homes that are destroyed, there's farm equipment that's still sitting on the side of the river. It's just, you can't really imagine it until you go and see it in person.
Mhm.
And our area was hit hard, but a lot of other areas in East Tennessee were really hit hard, and are still dealing with a lot of the aftermaths of the storm.
Sure. There were a number of programs that either help feed your players or open their doors for you to come practice or what have you. When did you guys be able or were able to return to your facilities and start kind of trying to find some normalcy again?
When the games got postponed, Spencer Riley at Jeff County, he reached out to me and was like, anything I can do to help out, just please let me know. So, we didn't have any running water in the whole, in the whole county. Had all the water was completely off. So, the school system said, probably not going to be able to practice there. We're going to have to come up with a plan. I said, well, Jefferson County's reached out and wants to let us practice down there. So we moved all our everything. We come here in the morning, get on a bus, and ride down there. They fed us. They took care of all the food for us, gave us opportunity. No running water in any house in Greene County. So our kids were able to shower and do things that they wouldn't be able to do here. So, and some of our other sports teams went to Science Hill, and Dobbins Bennett was able to host some of our teams. So a lot of different schools reached out and were able to let us use their facilities during this time. Anderson County brought a truckload of water up to us. Gary Terry always does a great job with reaching out and doing things if anybody needs help. And as soon as it happened, he reached out to us and said, we're going to get y'all some water. They brought up a truckload of it. Hats off to everybody that helped out. But that whole week we couldn't practice. Then they let us do some stuff here but we couldn't. We were on. They got the water back on, and once we could use the restrooms. The water in the city was on. We were able that next week. We were able to practice, but we didn't have any running water at the same time for a lot of houses. If you wasn't living in the city, you still didn't have running water. So think about all the water that you use in practice that you don't think about. So we had to replace that with bottled water. How we're doing a lot of stuff, but it's about 2 weeks after the storm, we were kind of back to a little normalcy. We faced a ton of adversity this year, but hopefully at the end of the day, these kids are going to be stronger for it. And one day they face stuff when they get out of here, they're able to know how to deal with tough situations.
Let's get into your football players per se, and I've got to start with Carson Quillen, a guy that has contributed in so many ways for your football team, for the school as a baseball standout as well. Uh, That young man's wired differently. When I talk to him, I feel like I'm talking to an elder, and, and I'm probably 30 years older than him almost. And he's just a different type of athlete who's kind of mature beyond his years. How have you seen him even mature and progress and get to the point where I think he ran for 300 some odd yards last week, but just to be a leader of this football program?
He's a our team captains are selected by your player or our players, and obviously coaches can make a cut if we need to. But as a junior, there's not many juniors that selected. I feel like he probably could have been a team captain as a sophomore if we wanted him to be. But he was selected last year as a team captain, and it goes just like you said. He's a wired different. I remember Coach Ball, who's our offensive coordinator, coaches is the head baseball coach for our middle school, and he remember in eighth grade, Carson. He said, "Man, he's different. Shows up to practice. There's no messing around. He's ready to go. He's got a shirt tucked in. He's got a belt on. He's got his pants on. He's ready to go every day when he shows up, and there's no nonsense anytime he's at practice." And that's what he's been since he's been here. What he is when he's with the baseball team, with the high school, just how he's been raised. He's had a older brother who was a great football player for us as well. But two high character kids. He continues to get better as the season. The bigger game, the more you're going to get out of him. And it comes back to his character. What he, you talking about what he's made of. You're not going to see him doing a lot of normal high school things you see from kids. He's not much. There's no nonsense with him. He's dialed in at all the time, and as a result, you see it on Friday night.
I didn't know how athletically or gifted or fast Caden Ball was until I watched you guys play against Alcoa and his ability to run the football and how quick he got out of the backfield, past the line of scrimmage and into some space. With that's probably innate. I mean, something you can't teach, but how has he grown in other areas as a quarterback for you guys?
You know, First off with Caden, it goes to the how hard he wants to work in the weight room, and how hard he's worked. Our program does a great job training speed during the season, during the off season, and he's really bought into that. And he's continued. The stronger those kids are, and they really put that work in, they got an opportunity to really run good. And he's really improved his running skills from last year. And one thing that he's improved on that's made him successful, I think, is working on those leadership things. And with we've talked a lot of times. You're going to be a leader on. You're going to be the quarterback on this football team. You better be a leader. And he's really dialed in. We talked about it earlier in the year. Make sure you're the first one at everything. If it's we practice on Thursday mornings at 6:30, make sure you're here. One of the first guys. I'm going to be here at 5:45. You need to be here at 6 o'clock, and talking to those guys. And he's done a great job at that side of it, and he's really bought into the work side of it on the field. And as a result, you've seen the success he's had, and he's really improved his passing game for us. Carson, what Carson does helps open up that stuff. But Caden's done a good job running the football, being smart with it, and getting the ball to those playmakers and letting them make plays.
You talk about playmakers in the 2023 Jamboree that we put on at Carson Newman. You guys threw a deep bomb to Zayden Anderson, and it was kind of an eye-opening moment for us in the media to see what could be out of this young man, a track star. Maybe didn't statistically have the numbers that we thought he might have in 2023, but this year he's just really kind of broken through and become that player that we all expected. And just for people who are going to see him for the first time this Friday night against Anderson County, what are they going to see in wide receiver Zayden Anderson?
He's got, like you said, he's got big time speed. When he touches a football, something electric can happen. And what goes unnoticed with him that is not mentioned is how hard he plays. He plays every down on defense for us at corner. How hard he blocks out there on the edge when he's not getting the football. He's playing with a lot of excitement right now. He's a special player to watch. He's only touched the football, I think, 25 times on the year. Probably be nice. He's up to about 800 yards receiving, but bigger games we try to get the ball to him more. And as a result, he's made more big plays. He's got to have a big game for us on Friday night.
Speaking of that game, going against Anderson County team that you all have faced as a program many times over the last 6 or 7 years. When you look at this iteration of Anderson County, what jumps off the film at you when you watch them play?
I looked at it. I was talking to my football team yesterday. I think in the last 8 years or 9 years, we've played 8 times.
Wow.
Two of them were regular season games there in 15 and 16. And besides that, it's been a second or third round game. And you turn on the film, and like you see in the same teams playing each other each year. Big physical teams just getting after each other. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out dogfight with two really good football teams. A lot of people say, it's been when these two teams played. Obviously, it's not been the state championship, but it's a state championship type game. That's what you're going to get on Friday. You got two really talented football teams that's got really good running backs, two Mr. Football semifinalists, and then you got skill kids galore, and you got really good offensive, defensive line. So expect a big-time game on Friday night.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us on the walkthrough tonight, and best of luck to you guys on Friday night.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us. Go Devils.